All right, welcome back everybody. Mr. Hurley here. In today's video, I want to talk about volcanoes and specifically how to mold a volcano using clay, how to paint the volcano to make it look realistic, and how to erupt your volcano, which is going to be super fun. Okay, so this video is going to have 3 parts. The first part, I'm going to talk about molding your volcano and about some specific vocabulary that I want you to know about volcanoes. The second part of the video, I'm going to talk about painting your volcano to make it look more realistic. Because right now, just looking white doesn't look like much of a volcano. And then the third part, I'm going to talk about the materials you're going to need to erupt your volcano. And that should be very fun. Okay, so let's talk about molding the volcano first. All right, I use plastilina clay. All right, now my students all have plastilina clay. If you're not one of my students and you want to try this, you could go to the store and buy any type of clay that you want. You could buy air dry clay or you could buy plastilina clay. All right, now if you have plastilina clay and that's what you're going to use and you found that it's very hard, okay, it's hard to mold with your hands. What you could do is you could put it in the microwave for a little while. Okay, what I did was I put my clay in the microwave for 1 minute at a time until it was soft enough where I could mold it with my hands. Okay, and that worked really well. And this is what it turned out to be. Okay, just a basic looking volcano there. Okay, so the way I did it was I just formed like a mountain shape. Then I took my hand and I flattened the top. Okay, then I took a Sharpie and I used this end of the Sharpie and I pressed it in and kind of moved it around a little bit to make the hole. And it worked out pretty well, pretty easy first step. Okay. So let's talk about the vocabulary that I want you to know related to volcanoes, okay? Let's talk about the hole first. We don't call it the hole, okay? We call it the crater. That is the crater of the volcano, okay? The crater is the hole. Pretty basic, okay? All right, that's where the lava comes out of. All right, and then we have the shaft that goes all the way down. Okay, it goes all the way down into the earth. And we don't really call it a shaft. We call it a vent or the main vent. Okay, that is the shaft or the tunnel that travels into the earth. That's called the main vent. Now, some volcanoes have side vents. So they have a main vent like that one, and then they have side vents that come to the side of the volcano. We're not going to do side vents. We're just going to do a main vent, okay? So far we have the crater, we have the vent, which is the hole that goes all the way down, the shaft part, and then we have the base of the volcano, which is basic. The base is the bottom part of the volcano. Okay, so that is how you mold a volcano, and those are the important vocabulary words that I want you to know. Next part, paint. Okay, stay tuned. Okay, guys, so I finished painting the volcano. Here's how it turned out. All right, so I got some brown up the sides, and at the top, I added some gray. Now, I used gray to show the ash. Volcanoes create lots of ash when they erupt. So that's how my paint job turned out. Turned out pretty nice. Let me turn it around so you can see it. Okay. So now it looks more like a real volcano. All right. So that was, and it was fun to paint it. I enjoyed it. So that was pretty fun. Okay. Now, if you're going to paint your plastilina clay, this is plastilina clay. if you're going to paint the plastilina clay, you have to use acrylic. See that word? Acrylic. You have to use acrylic paint. Okay? So if you're using plastilina, let me say it again. You have to get and use acrylic paint. It's the only kind of paint that will work on plastilina clay. All right? If you're using air dry clay, you could use any paint you want. You could use acrylic, you could use watercolors, or you could use oil paints. Okay, so that's the advantage of using the air dry clay. You could use any type of paint that you want to. All right, next step, we're gonna erupt. Here we go. Okay guys, here we go. Now we're ready to erupt our volcano. We are going to create an eruption. This is going to be super fun. Let me show you the materials that you're going to need to create your eruption. All right, we're going to create what we call a chemical reaction. All right, this is called a chemical reaction. And what we're going to use is some basic things that you probably already have at home. Some household materials you probably already have at home. Okay, this is what you're going to need. You're going to need baking soda, all right? Pure baking soda. You're going to need that, okay? You're also going to need white vinegar, distilled white vinegar, all right? Now, you could use any type of vinegar, I think, but white vinegar is the best type to use. Now, an optional material to make your lava red, I would advise that you use some red food coloring. This is food coloring right here. All right, so those are the basic materials you're going to use. You're going to use baking soda. You're going to use white vinegar. And you're going to use red food coloring, all right? Now, before we do this eruption, let's talk about a couple more things, a couple more vocabulary items, all right? Now, what we're going to be creating is we're going to be creating lava, all right? That's a vocabulary word, lava, all right? You probably already know what lava is, but you might not know what magma is. Magma. Now, the magma is the lava when it's underground, when it's still in the earth and it hasn't erupted and it hasn't come out of the volcano yet. It's called magma. So when it's still underground and not erupting, it's called magma. When it erupts and comes out of the volcano, then we call it lava. All right, so they're a little bit different, magma and lava. Okay, let's create the magma first. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get your baking soda. Get a small spoon. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some baking soda into the vent. Remember the hole that goes all the way down into the earth and connects with the magma down there is called the main vent. All right, so let me scoop some out. And I got a spoonful right there. Let me put it in. Okay. All right. Put a tad more in there. That should be enough. Okay, then I'm gonna take my Sharpie again and kind of press it down in there. Okay. So we're creating the magma. And then when it comes out, it's going to be the lava. This is going to be super cool. Now, one other thing is you can't see it, but I placed a lot of newspaper down so you don't make too much of a mess. Okay? I placed some newspaper down so that we don't make too much of a mess. You don't want your mom or your dad having to clean up a big mess. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put couple drops of this food coloring, this red food coloring, into the shaft or the vent. Call it a vent, right? The vent of the volcano. Okay? I'm going to let that kind of mix in right there. So I think I'll take the end of my spoon and stir that up a little bit. Get it all the way in there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. All right. Okay. So I have my baking soda and my food coloring in the vent of the volcano. Third step on this is the vinegar. Now this is what creates the chemical reaction. When you add the vinegar to the baking soda, that's what creates the chemical reaction, and we should get an eruption. If this works correctly, we should get a nice eruption here. We'll see what happens. All right, now the food coloring doesn't have anything to do with the chemical reaction. It is the baking soda and the vinegar. Okay, so I have a little tube here, and I'm gonna pour the vinegar into the tube. Okay, so I can control it a little bit better. So let me go ahead and do that. All right. Okay, so here we go. Let's create our eruption. Let's see what happens here, guys. Here we go. Oh, we got lava. We got lava. Very cool. All right, woo. We got an eruption, guys. Hope you have fun with this activity. See you next time.